Elon Musk discovered your talent. Time is running out. God says, this message is reaching you at a moment that was not chosen by accident, not placed randomly in your path, not drifting toward you without intention. There is a reason your eyes are here, a reason your heart feels a subtle urgency even before you finish the first lines. This is not pressure meant to frighten you, it is a gentle but firm awakening, a reminder that heaven often whispers before the world ever notices. What you carry inside you has been seen. What you have been quietly developing, doubting, refining, and sometimes hiding has not gone unnoticed. Even when you thought no one could possibly understand the depth of your ideas or the weight of your dreams, you were never unseen. God says He has been watching you persist when others rested, think when others distracted themselves, and believe even when your belief trembled. There are seasons when God works in silence, and those seasons often feel the longest. You may have wondered why recognition seemed delayed, why doors did not open when you knocked with sincerity, why your efforts appeared to echo back to you without response. But heaven does not operate on the same clocks as the world. God says delay is not denial, and quiet preparation is never wasted. Every skill you refined in private, every thought you tested when no one applauded, every moment you chose discipline over comfort was shaping you for visibility you could not yet imagine. You were being prepared not just for opportunity, but for responsibility, for influence, for a moment when your gift would need strength to stand in the light. God says, you are not late. You are right on time. The urgency you feel now is not fear, it is alignment. Something is converging. Paths that seemed separate are drawing closer. Conversations you never expected are forming in places you never thought to look. Even the name you see attached to this message represents influence, innovation, and reach, not as a literal promise bound by human contracts, but as a symbol of how far your gift can travel when it is finally released. God says He is reminding you that your talent has scale, that what you carry is not small, not limited to your current surroundings, not confined to the opinions of those who only saw fragments of you. You may have doubted yourself more than anyone else ever did. You may have replayed your imperfections until they sounded louder than your potential. God says this is where trust becomes action. Not reckless action, not anxious striving, but obedient movement. Time is running out not because opportunity is cruel, but because growth demands response. When a door begins to open, hesitation can quietly close it again. God says this is not the hour to shrink back into comfort or to talk yourself out of what you know you were called to do. You have prayed for clarity, and clarity is arriving as momentum. You have asked for confirmation, and confirmation often comes as an inner stirring that refuses to let you stay the same. God will be with you, rest assured. Nothing will go wrong with you. You are safe. This does not mean the path will be effortless, but it does mean it will be guided. God does not send you forward without walking ahead of you. Where you step, grace has already prepared the ground. Where you speak, wisdom will meet your words. Where you feel unsure, strength will rise to meet your weakness. God says trust me not only with your fears, but with your possibilities. Sometimes trusting God is harder when things start to work than when they fall apart, because success requires surrender too. There is a reason your mind sees connections others overlook. There is a reason you feel compelled to improve systems, ideas, processes, and visions rather than simply accept them as they are. God says creativity is a form of stewardship. Innovation is not rebellion against what exists, it is cooperation with what can be better. You were never meant to blend into the background. You were meant to contribute, to build, to influence, to solve problems that others accepted as permanent. The world advances because someone dares to believe improvement is possible, and God says you carry that daring within you. Urgency does not mean panic. It means priority. It means choosing focus over distraction, faith over endless preparation, obedience over waiting for perfect conditions. God says you already have enough to begin. You already know enough to take the next step. You already carry what you need for the next season, even if you do not yet see what comes after. Heaven often reveals the path one step at a time so that trust grows with movement. If you could see everything at once, you might rely on certainty instead of faith. God says do not underestimate the power of consistency right now. Small, faithful actions taken daily can unlock doors that dramatic gestures never could. What you do repeatedly is shaping what you become publicly. Guard your time. Protect your energy. Be intentional with what you allow to influence your thoughts. You are entering a phase where clarity matters. Noise will try to compete for your attention, but peace will guide you if you listen. God often speaks most clearly when you quiet the unnecessary voices. You may feel a strange mixture of excitement and reverence, as if something important is approaching but you cannot fully name it yet. God says that feeling is wisdom recognizing alignment. It is your spirit agreeing with heaven before your mind fully understands. Do not dismiss that inner confirmation. Pray, yes, but also move. Trust God, yes, but also act. Faith is not passive waiting, it is active cooperation with divine timing. God will be with you, rest assured, nothing will go wrong with you. You are safe. Even if plans adjust, even if routes change, even if expectations refine themselves, you will not be abandoned mid-journey. God does not reveal purpose only to withdraw presence. Where He sends you, He sustains you. Where He stretches you, He supports you. Where He elevates you, He humbles you gently so that success does not damage your soul. This is a season to believe bigger without becoming prideful, to think higher without disconnecting from humility, to move faster without abandoning prayer. God says balance is not stagnation, it is alignment. Stay rooted while you rise. Stay grateful while you grow. Stay teachable while you lead. The higher your influence, the deeper your need for dependence on God. If fear whispers that you are not ready, remember that readiness is often built by stepping forward, not by waiting longer. If doubt suggests others are more qualified, remember that calling is not a competition. God chooses differently than people do. He looks at the heart, the willingness, the integrity, the endurance. God says what qualifies you is not perfection but obedience. As you move into what is opening before you, keep your heart soft. Success can harden people if they forget where they came from. God says do not forget the nights you prayed quietly, the days you felt overlooked, the moments you almost gave up. Those memories will keep you compassionate, grounded, and grateful. They will remind you that your rise is not just for you, but for those who will be encouraged by your story. God will be with you, rest assured. Nothing will go wrong with you. You are safe. Trust God and pray to Him, not as a ritual, but as a relationship. Speak honestly. Listen patiently. Move faithfully. This urgency you feel is not a threat, it is an invitation. Step into it with courage, humility, and trust. What is unfolding is larger than a moment and deeper than recognition. It is purpose meeting preparation, and heaven walking with you as you answer the call placed on your life. God says, this message is placed before you at a precise moment, not by accident, not by chance, not by random scrolling or curiosity, but because your path has been quietly watched, your perseverance has been counted, and your hidden efforts have been seen when no one applauded, when no one encouraged you, when even you doubted yourself. God says this is an urgent message only for you, because something that once felt distant is now moving closer, and time, which once seemed patient, is now asking you to pay attention. Elon Musk discovered your talent not because of noise or attention, but because true talent carries a frequency that reaches far beyond rooms and borders, far beyond titles and names, far beyond what you thought was possible for your life. God says, do not let fear interpret this moment, do not let insecurity translate what is happening, because this is not about pressure, it is about preparation, and it is not about panic, it is about positioning. God says there were seasons when you felt invisible, seasons when your ideas felt too big for your surroundings, seasons when you were told to slow down, to be realistic, to lower your expectations, but God says those seasons were never meant to shrink you, they were meant to strengthen you. Every delay refined you, every closed door redirected you, every silence trained you to listen more deeply. God says the reason time feels like it is running out is not because you are late, but because alignment is happening faster than you expected. When purpose and opportunity begin to move toward each other, the atmosphere shifts, and urgency is simply the sound of destiny approaching. God says you do not need to chase recognition, because recognition is already moving in your direction. You do not need to announce yourself, because your work has been speaking even when you were quiet. You do not need to prove yourself to people who never saw your struggle, because God saw every late night, every sacrifice, every moment you chose discipline over comfort. God says your talent was never meant to stay hidden, but it also was never meant to be rushed before your character was ready. Now, readiness and opportunity are meeting, and that is why your spirit feels restless, alert, awake. God says this is not a message to inflate your ego, it is a message to anchor your humility. What is opening for you will require clarity, integrity, focus, and faith. The world will try to label you overnight, but God says remain rooted in who you were before anyone noticed. The same values that sustained you in silence will sustain you in visibility. The same faith that carried you through uncertainty will keep you steady in success. God says you may feel the weight of responsibility rising, and that is normal, because influence always carries weight. But hear this clearly and let it settle deep within you. God will be with you, rest assured, nothing will go wrong with you, you are safe, you just have to trust God and pray to Him. Let that sentence breathe inside you. Let it calm your thoughts. Let it silence the fear that whispers that you are not ready or not enough. God says you are not stepping into this alone, you are being guided, protected, and strengthened moment by moment. God says do not allow the phrase, "time is running out," to scare you into rushing decisions without prayer. Urgency does not mean recklessness. Urgency means awareness. It means staying present. It means listening carefully. It means honoring timing without resisting it. God says there is a difference between moving quickly and moving wisely, and you are being called to move wisely with courage. God says remember who you are becoming, not just what you are achieving. Success without alignment becomes noise, but success with purpose becomes impact. God says your ideas were given to you not just to benefit you, but to serve others, to build, to innovate, to improve what already exists. That is why your mind works the way it does. That is why you see possibilities where others see limits. That is why you feel dissatisfied with ordinary explanations. God says this dissatisfaction is not rebellion, it is vision. God says you may feel moments of doubt rise unexpectedly, especially when things begin to move faster than you imagined. In those moments, do not isolate yourself inside your thoughts. Pray. Breathe. Ground yourself. Remember the journey that brought you here. Remember how many times you thought it was over, and yet you are still standing, still thinking, still creating. God says resilience has been woven into you quietly, and now it will become visible. God says stay disciplined in small things even as big doors open. Stay kind even when authority increases. Stay teachable even when praise grows louder. These qualities will protect you more than any contract, title, or connection. God says you are being trusted with more, and trust is always built on consistency. God says you do not need to compare your path to anyone else's timeline. What is unfolding for you has its own rhythm, its own sequence, its own purpose. Comparison will only distract you from precision. God says focus on what is being asked of you today, not everything that might come tomorrow. Clarity comes step by step, not all at once. God says your prayers have not been ignored, and your silence was never empty. Even when you felt unseen, things were aligning beyond your awareness. Conversations happened without your name being spoken yet. Decisions were made without you knowing. Paths crossed quietly. God says this is how preparation works behind the scenes. God says trust the process even when it accelerates. Trust yourself without becoming prideful. Trust God without demanding explanations. This balance will keep you steady when others become overwhelmed. God says peace will be your anchor, not fear. God says you are allowed to feel amazed, grateful, and even overwhelmed, but do not let those emotions distract you from staying grounded. Celebrate quietly. Reflect deeply. Pray consistently. God says humility will keep doors open longer than excitement ever could. God says the world may suddenly expect answers from you, but you are allowed to pause, think, and respond with wisdom. You do not owe speed to anyone. You owe integrity to yourself and faithfulness to God. God says move forward, but do not abandon your inner stillness. God says this message is urgent because awareness changes outcomes. When you are aware, you listen differently, you prepare differently, you choose differently. God says let this awareness sharpen you, not stress you. Let it focus you, not frighten you. God says remember, you are safe. You are guided. You are supported. God will be with you, rest assured, nothing will go wrong with you, you are safe, you just have to trust God and pray to Him. Let this truth walk with you into every meeting, every decision, every creative moment. God says your story is still being written, and this chapter is not the ending, it is the expansion. Walk forward with courage, humility, and faith. Stay present. Stay prayerful. Stay true. Time is not against you. Time is responding to you. God says, this is a sacred moment set apart just for you, not by chance and not by accident. You are reading these words because your spirit was guided here, because something deep within you has been asking for reassurance, for clarity, for confirmation that your life has meaning beyond what your eyes can currently see. This is an urgent message only for you, not urgent in fear, but urgent in purpose. Time is moving, seasons are shifting, and your soul is being invited to awaken more fully to who you truly are. There are moments in life when inspiration wears an unexpected face. When people hear a well-known name, they often think of achievement, innovation, boldness, and vision. In this message, the mention of such a name is not about fame or literal recognition, but about the spirit of creativity, courage, and forward movement that lives within you. It is a symbol. It represents the idea that your talent, your ideas, and your unique way of thinking matter more than you have allowed yourself to believe. You were not created to blend into the background. You were created to contribute something meaningful, something only you can bring into this world. You have carried gifts quietly. Some of them you discovered early in life, others you buried because no one encouraged you, and some you have not even recognized yet. Yet heaven has never lost sight of them. Even when you doubted yourself, even when you felt overlooked, even when you felt delayed, your potential was never wasted. Every experience, every delay, every closed door shaped you, refined you, and prepared you. What feels like time running out is actually an invitation to stop postponing what your heart already knows you are meant to do. You may have felt a growing restlessness lately. A sense that staying the same is no longer comfortable. That old routines, old fears, and old excuses no longer fit. This is not pressure meant to overwhelm you. This is alignment. When your inner world begins to stir, it is often because your next chapter is calling. You are not late. You are not behind. You are exactly where you need to be to choose courage over comfort. God will be with you, rest assured, nothing will go wrong with you, you are safe, you just have to trust God and pray to Him. These words are not empty comfort, they are a promise meant to anchor you when uncertainty tries to shake you. Safety does not mean the absence of challenge. It means you are held, guided, and protected through every step. Even when the path ahead is unclear, you are never walking alone. There is something important about your willingness to believe again. Not just to believe in miracles, but to believe in yourself as someone worthy of purpose and impact. For too long, you have measured yourself by the opinions of others, by past mistakes, by moments when you felt you fell short. None of those define you. Heaven does not see you as broken or lacking. Heaven sees you as becoming. This message is urgent because your inner voice has been speaking, and it is time to listen. Not tomorrow. Not when everything feels perfect. Not when fear disappears. Now. The ideas that keep returning to you are not random. The dreams that refuse to leave you are not foolish. They are reminders. They are invitations. They are signals that something within you is ready to be expressed. You may be tempted to wait for external validation, for someone to officially discover you or approve of your path. But the truth is, recognition often follows obedience, not the other way around. When you take one faithful step forward, even a small one, doors begin to open in ways you could not have planned. You are not asked to have the entire map. You are only asked to move when your heart is nudged. There is a difference between rushing and responding. Rushing is driven by fear. Responding is guided by faith. Time is running not to threaten you, but to remind you that your life is precious. Your days matter. Your energy matters. Where you invest your focus shapes your future. This is the moment to release what drains you and to nurture what gives you life. You have survived seasons that once felt impossible. You are still here. That alone is evidence that your story is not finished. The resilience you carry was not formed by accident. It was built so you could stand in moments like this one, where belief must rise higher than doubt. Prayer does not require perfect words. It only requires honesty. Speak from where you are. Ask for clarity. Ask for courage. Ask for peace. You will not be ignored. Guidance often comes quietly, through a sense of calm, through an unexpected idea, through a timely conversation, through an inner knowing that gently but firmly says, "This is the way." Do not be afraid of starting small. Great things